Alright, now that 2023 is actually coming to a close, I figured now would be a good time to get this kind of video out there. So if you've been following me on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it these days, you already know that I've made a Twitter thread for every game I beat this year, and you probably know how this list is going to look. And I'm going to say this right now. This list is about the handhelds that I have personally played the most this year in 2023. This is not a list of handhelds that came out this year. So with that being said, let's get into it. Number 3, the new Nintendo 3DS. You would think that in the year of our Lord, 2023, the 3DS would be kind of irrelevant. The 3DS and Wii U eShop went down back in March, and they recently announced that they're going to be shutting down the online services in 2024, so this truly feels like the end of an era, but that did not stop me from going back and revisiting the system. Now I'm going to have a disclaimer here that both my new 3DS and my new 3DS XL are hacked and running custom firmware, and this does affect my opinion on the system because hacked 3DS is just amazing. Last year, I had a Twitter thread for my top handhelds of that year, and one of them was the RG353M, because that was my pocket handheld of the year, and it was used to play a bunch of retro games and ROM hacks. That role has kind of been taken over by my new 3DS now. They're roughly the same size, and while they each serve a different role for me, the fact is, being able to play DS and 3DS games on native hardware just can't be beat. Some games are very frustrating to play through an emulator when it comes to the dual screen setup, trying to have to emulate the touchscreen. It just gets to be a bit frustrating. And I'm going to be honest, I'm one of those weirdos that likes the 3D aspect of the 3DS. Helps my depth perception a ton, especially with my spacing in Monster Hunter. I just like it. And if the DS and 3DS games weren't enough, you can inject ROMs and add NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and a few other systems as well. It's almost hard to recommend one of those retro handheld emulators if you have a 3DS lying around. And if you're curious, these are the games I beat on my 3DS this year. Number 2, the Steam Deck. We are way past pocket territory right now because this is one behemoth of a machine. But it continues to grow on me as time goes on. The Steam Deck does everything, and I truly mean that. There was a couple months this year where this was actually my main PC. And if I'm being honest, it was actually pretty great. I really appreciate the fact that the Steam OS is built on top of Arch Linux, and I was able to run all your standard programs that you would normally run as a user through the Steam Deck. As for gaming, it is very impressive what you can play from the Steam library as long as you keep your expectations in check. Your super, ultra, high-end, current, state-of-the-art PC games, they're not gonna run as good as they do on your big, dedicated gaming desktop PC or even a PlayStation 5. But if you can accept playing those games at 720p, 30 FPS, you're probably gonna have a good time here. And if you're running a game from a couple generations ago or a game that's just more lightweight, you pretty much have no problem getting 40, 60 FPS out of the machine. The fact that I can play Monster Hunter World on a handheld at 60 FPS is something I could have only dreamed about back in 2018. And if you happen to venture off the official path of playing Steam games, you can do quite a bit if you're willing to put in the work. For example, I got Battle.net on my Steam Deck, and I beat Diablo 4 almost exclusively on the Steam Deck, and this is before it came to Steam itself. Outside of that, I got Emulation Station. I have no problems playing PS2 or GameCube games. Wii games work fine on here, and the PS3 and Wii U emulation on here really surprised me. I know the Steam Deck itself is not really too unique now. There's a lot of PC handhelds out there these days, and a good number of them are more powerful than the Steam Deck. But I honestly don't feel the need to upgrade. I think this will be a major part of my gaming rotation until the Steam Deck 2 comes out. And if you're wondering, these are the games that I beat on the Steam Deck this year. Number 1, the Switch OLED. Also, not pocket size, but come on, the Switch had an amazing year. I have over 100 hours in Fire Emblem Engage and Tears of the Kingdom alone. So in addition to all the games I beat, just the amount of time I spent playing the Switch in 2023 just eclipsed all the other systems this year. So unlike the other systems on this list where I kind of had to go out my way to really bring out the true potential of that system and kind of play games that you're not really supposed to play on those systems, I don't need to do that with the Switch. I mean, I do have a day one Switch where it's hacked, running custom firmware, and it can do a bunch of emulation and all of that. But more often than not, I find myself reaching for the Switch OLED. The OLED has a better screen. I've already bought an obscene amount of games on the Nintendo Switch, and I don't have to worry about Nintendo ninjas coming after me anytime I want to connect to the internet. It's kind of crazy how it's number one on my list, but I don't really have that much to say about it. I feel like with the 3DS and the Steam Deck, I kind of needed to explain what I had done, gone out of my way a little bit, and kind of explain why they're on the list, but the Switch just really speaks for itself. And I'm a Nintendo fanboy, so my opinion is 100% biased. But that wraps it up for this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your top handhelds for 2023 were. And of course, if you're curious, these are the games I beat on the Nintendo Switch this year. Take it easy, everyone.